African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoy, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation on the 2nd of May, 2024. In accordance with the decision of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, based on humanitarian considerations, during the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the victory from midnight on May 8, groups of Russian troops in the Special Military Operations Zone continue to strictly observe the ceasefire and remain at previously occupied lines and positions. Despite the announcement of the ceasefire, the Ukrainian armed forces have not ceased combat operations against Russian troops. They have made 4 attempts to break through the state border of the Russian Federation in the Kursk and Belgorod regions, as well as 22 attacks and 1 reconnaissance-in-force in the areas of the settlements of Tetkino in the Kursk region, Pavlovka, Budki in the Sumy region, Berezniki in the Kharkov region, Novoigorovka in the Luhansk People's Republic, Lepovo, Redkadub, Valentinovka, Dzerzinsk, Romanovka, Novolinovka, Marilyabovka, Lilyanovka, Elizavetovka, Troitskoy, Alexievka, Novoalexandrovka, Kotlyarovka, Novosibirsk, and Veselo in the Donetsk People's Republic. Along the entire line of combat contact, Ukrainian units carried out 2,669 attacks from barrel artillery, tanks, and mortars on positions of our troops, as well as 46 using multiple launch rocket systems. In addition, 6,562 strikes and drops of ammunition from unmanned aerial vehicles were carried out. A total of 9,318 ceasefire violations were recorded. In these conditions, the armed forces of the Russian Federation are responding in a mirror-like manner to violations of the ceasefire regime by the Ukrainian armed forces and will continue to act in accordance with the evolving situation, responding to all criminal encroachments by the Kiev regime. Units of the North Military Grouping inflicted damage on concentrations of manpower and equipment of 2 territorial defense brigades that did not observe the temporary ceasefire regime in the areas of the settlements of Beselovka and Pavlovka in Sumy Oblast. That the Ukrainian armed forces lost up to 220 servicemen, 4 combat armored vehicles, 10 cars, and 6 field artillery guns. An ammunition depot was destroyed. Units of the West Military Group repelled an enemy attack in the area of the settlement of Lepovo in the Donetsk People's Republic. The Ukrainian armed forces lost up to 170 servicemen, 2 combat armored vehicles, 6 cars, a Grad multiple launch rocket system, and a NATO-made artillery piece. A Kraken electronic warfare station and an ammunition depot were destroyed. Units of the Southern Group of Forces repelled an enemy attack in the area of the settlement of Valentinovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. That the losses of the Ukrainian armed forces amounted to over 110 servicemen, 4 combat armored vehicles, 9 cars, and 3 field artillery guns. An ammunition depot was destroyed. Units of the Center Group of Forces repelled 8 enemy attacks in the areas of the populated areas of Novolinovka, Lilyanovka, Marilyabovka, Elizavetovka, Kotlyarovka, Novosibirsk, and Alexievka of the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost more than 130 servicemen, 4 combat armored vehicles, 9 cars, and 3 field artillery guns. An electronic warfare station was destroyed. Units of the East Group of Forces inflicted losses on the manpower and equipment of 2 mechanized brigades of the Ukrainian armed forces that violated the ceasefire in the areas of the settlements of Bogodar, Zelenoypol, and Novopol in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost up to 130 servicemen, 2 armored combat vehicles, 4 cars, and 2 field artillery guns. A US-made and /TPQ-48 counter-battery radar station was destroyed. Units of the Dnieper Group of Forces defeated formations of the Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces that did not observe the ceasefire in the areas of the settlements of Novodanilovka in the Zaporizhia region and Ponitovka in the Kherson region. More than 20 servicemen, 6 vehicles, and a field artillery gun were destroyed. No strikes were carried out by operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile forces, or artillery of the troop groups of the armed forces of the Russian Federation. Over the course of 24 hours, air defense systems destroyed a U.S.-made JDAM guided aerial bomb, as well as 86 aircraft-type unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, the following have been destroyed: 662 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 56,592 unmanned aerial vehicles, 605 anti-aircraft missile systems, 23,265 tanks, and other armored combat vehicles, 1,561 combat vehicles of multiple launch rocket systems, 24,624 field artillery pieces and mortars, 35,237 units of special military vehicles. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.